Okay, so we need to talk about what's happening with the Wicked cast right now because honestly, it's gotten completely out of control and I don't think people realize how serious this has become. So listen up because what I'm about to tell you might actually shock you. The internet has been absolutely obsessed with Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, and Michelle Yeoh ever since Wicked dropped, but it's not the kind of attention you'd think, and honestly, I'm kind of disturbed by where this conversation has gone. Every single day, there's a new viral moment, a new meme, a critique about their bodies or how they interact with each other, and I genuinely think we've crossed a line that we can't come back from. But here's where it gets wild. Something happened to me personally that made me realize just how bad this situation really is, and trust me, you're not going to believe this. So, Ariana recently reposted an old interview clip on her Instagram story from last year's press tour with Cynthia. And in that clip, she says something really important that everyone needs to hear right now. She basically called out how society has become way too comfortable commenting on other people's bodies, their health, their appearance, all of it. And she made it clear that no matter what your intentions are, it's dangerous and it needs to stop. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's a nice message, but why is she bringing this up now? Well, because the comments about her body and Cynthia's body and Michelle's body have been absolutely relentless lately, and people are acting like they have the right to analyze every single photo and video frame by frame. And honestly, I get it. I understand that some people think they're coming from a place of concern, but let me tell you why that doesn't make it okay. When you publicly dissect someone's appearance over and over again, even if you say it's because you care, you're still contributing to a culture that makes people feel like their bodies are up for debate, and that's harmful no matter how you spin it. But wait, because this is where my personal experience comes in, and I promise you, this is going to blow your mind. So I made a video talking about Ariana's response and the whole Wicked cast situation. Pretty standard stuff, right? I used some recent photos from Ariana's Instagram like I always do when I cover celebrity news. Nothing weird, nothing controversial, just regular images she posted herself. I uploaded the video, went about my day, and then a few hours later, I got a notification from YouTube that made my jaw drop. YouTube had age-restricted my video to 18 plus only, and when I checked why, they said I violated their self-harm policy and they specifically flagged one single image of Ariana as the problem. They even put an eating disorder hotline underneath my video, and I'm sitting there thinking, wait, what just happened here? There was nothing in my actual commentary that was harmful or triggering. I wasn't saying anything problematic. The only issue was literally just a photo of Ariana from her own Instagram. So I went back, I removed that one image, and immediately the age restriction was lifted, which confirmed exactly what I suspected. YouTube's automated system looked at Ariana's appearance in that photo and decided it was potentially dangerous for minors to see. Let that sink in for a second because the implications are actually insane. On one hand, you have people online saying that kids shouldn't be exposed to how Ariana and Cynthia and Michelle look because it might promote unhealthy standards. And on the other hand, you have YouTube, a massive platform with sophisticated AI moderation, independently coming to the same conclusion without any human input. This is the part that really gets me because it's almost like the concerns people have been expressing online just got accidentally validated by a tech algorithm. But at the same time, it shows how uncomfortable and weird this entire conversation has become. Like, we've reached a point where a woman's photo from her own social media is being flagged as unsuitable for children. And whether you think that's the right call or not, you have to admit that's a pretty wild place to be as a society. Now, let's talk about Cynthia Erivo because she's been getting dragged through the mud lately with all these memes, and honestly, it makes me really uncomfortable. If you've been on social media at all in the past few weeks, you've definitely seen the memes. They're everywhere, and they basically all center around Cynthia being super protective of Ariana during the press tour. People are taking her facial expressions, her body language, the way she reacts when interviewers say something to Ariana, and they're turning it into this whole narrative that she's like Ariana's bodyguard or something. Some of the memes are kind of funny, I'm not going to lie, but a lot of them have this really nasty undertone that I don't think people are acknowledging. What bothers me the most is that so many of these memes are made by men who literally dress up as Cynthia and imitate her in these super exaggerated ways, and I can't help but feel like there's some misogyny and racism baked into all of this. Cynthia is a black woman, she's bald, she's openly affectionate and nurturing toward Ariana, and historically black women who have these characteristics get stereotyped as aggressive or intimidating or masculine, and that's exactly what's happening here, whether people want to admit it or not. The memes portray her as the scary villain figure who's going to attack anyone who gets too close to Ariana, and it's not cute, it's actually really harmful, and I think we need to call it out. Here's something interesting though. Ariana hasn't directly addressed the meme situation publicly, but she did do something that caught everyone's attention. She liked a post on social media that basically said people need to stop villainizing Cynthia and making her out to be some kind of aggressive protector, and fans immediately picked up on it and were like, okay, Ariana is clearly not okay with how Cynthia is being treated. That one little like spoke volumes, and I think it was Ariana's way of saying, hey, I see what you're doing and it's not okay, without having to make a whole statement about it. And honestly, good for her, because sometimes the subtle approach is more powerful than going off on a rant. But wait, because this is where SZA also chimed in on this whole thing, and what she said was so important. She basically said, this isn't about being too woke or too sensitive, this is classic misogyny, plain and simple, and she couldn't believe that in this day and age, people still think it's acceptable to treat women this way. SZA pointed out that years from now, people are going to look back on how Cynthia was treated during this press tour and realize how messed up it was, especially the way she's being attacked for being black and bald and nurturing, like those are somehow negative qualities. I completely agree with SZA on this one. I think we're going to look back at this moment and cringe at how comfortable people were tearing Cynthia down for literally just existing and supporting her friend. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, because I know everyone's been talking about Ariana and Cynthia's relationship and how close they seem. People watch their interviews and they see how touching they are with each other, how they hold hands together and cry together and finish each other's sentences, and some viewers find it confusing, or they start speculating about what's really going on between them. Honestly, I think people are reading way too much into it, but Ariana actually addressed this on Amy Poehler's podcast, so let me tell you what she said. Ariana explained that she's naturally a very affectionate person and that physical touch is how she expresses care and support. It's not sexual or romantic, it's literally just comforting. She said that when she's holding Cynthia's hand or squeezing her fingers during interviews, it's because she's channeling emotional energy and trying to keep them both grounded, especially during awkward or stressful moments. And honestly, that makes total sense to me, because press tours are exhausting and overwhelming. You're answering the same questions over and over again, you're jet lagged, you're constantly being photographed and judged, so having someone there who gets it and can provide that emotional support is probably invaluable. Ariana also talked about how she and Cynthia make a conscious effort to stay connected emotionally, which I think is really beautiful. She pointed out that there's often a huge gap between finishing filming and starting the press tour, and both of them are incredibly busy people, but they still prioritize checking in with each other and making sure they're okay. That kind of intentional friendship is rare, and I think it's actually really inspiring. Like, why are we trying to make something wholesome and supportive into something weird or suspicious? At the end of the day, I think what Ariana and Cynthia have is a genuine, deep friendship that was forged through this intense shared experience of making Wicked, and the fact that people are trying to twist it into something else says more about them than it does about Ariana and Cynthia. Here's what really exhausts me about all of this, though. It's the fact that every single day there's something new. One day it's comments about Ariana's body, the next day it's memes about Cynthia being aggressive, the day after that it's speculation about their relationship, and it just never stops. The scrutiny is constant and relentless, and I genuinely don't know how they're handling it, because I would lose my mind if I were in their position. Like, imagine working incredibly hard on a project you're passionate about, pouring your heart and soul into bringing these characters to life, and then instead of people talking about your performance or the film itself, they're obsessed with what you look like and whether you're eating enough and how you touch your co-star. It's completely dehumanizing, and I think we've lost sight of the fact that these are real people with real feelings who can see everything we're saying about them. I know some people are going to say, well, they're celebrities, they signed up for this, but did they though? Did they sign up to have their bodies analyzed and their friendships dissected and their every move turned into a meme? I don't think anyone signs up for that level of invasion, and just because someone is famous doesn't mean they forfeited their right to basic human dignity and respect. And look, I'm not saying you can't have opinions or that you can't discuss celebrities at all, but there's a difference between having a conversation and engaging in this nonstop invasive commentary that clearly makes the people involved uncomfortable. Ariana literally had to repost an old interview clip to remind people to stop talking about bodies. Cynthia is being turned into a racist caricature, and YouTube's own algorithm is flagging their images as potentially harmful. Like, at what point do we step back and say, okay, maybe we've gone too far? I think the Wicked cast deserves better than this. I think they deserve to celebrate their incredible work without having to constantly defend themselves or address harmful narratives, and I think we as an audience need to do better. So I'm curious what you guys think about all of this. Do you think the commentary has crossed a line, or do you think people are being too sensitive? And what do you make of YouTube flagging Ariana's photo like that? Because honestly, I'm still processing it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing from you guys, and I appreciate every single one of you for being here and engaging with these conversations. Hopefully we can all move forward with a little more empathy and kindness, and maybe we can shift the focus back to the actual film and the amazing performances instead of all this other noise. All right, that's all I've got for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.